And we're live. Welcome back, everybody, to Behind the ToolBelt episode 220. Today, we have another special guest. Stay tuned. We will be back after our short intro from our sponsors.
TC Backer. Roofing, siding, windows, gutters, solar. Roofing, siding, windows, gutters, solar. TC Backer.
Is your lead flow down? Whether you're a company owner, office staff, salesperson, or installer, you're a roofing rock star. We help you get more leads with custom SEO, Google Ads, and a pro website.
TC Backer.
Welcome back, everybody. God, it feels good to be back in the studio once again on Wednesday at 12 o'clock lunchtime behind the ToolBelt. Today, we have another amazing guest, Josey Parks. My friend, how are you, buddy?
Doing great, man. Pressure is on, that's for sure. Glad to
Man,
be here, Todd.
I can't even imagine. Thank you so much for carving out enough time to come on the show today. I know you're extremely busy as hell with Wind the Storm next week. The dates are the 14th through the 16th, so I know that you're crunched for time right now. So what do you think has been the most stressful part of all of this? Getting ready for Win the Storm here. I'm going to jump right into it because I know how I get just before doing a podcast, but you're hosting the entire event. And I don't think you come from that, background of hosting events. I'm sure on a smaller scale, but something like this where shit, you're going to have thousands of people there, man. So up to this point, what do you think the most stressful thing has been?
Man, I'll tell you, I've been on the board of IRE for 5 years now, and I had some experience picking speakers and dealing with that. But I would say just really curating the experience, really not knowing every single person and all the people that applied to speak, selecting speakers and wanting to create the experience for contractors and have actionable information, like not just a bunch of fluff. Really have pioneers that are out there doing the work, sharing their stories, and just delivering value. I mean, that's the thing. Like, this is all value based, and I felt called to do this, and I didn't want to do this. I still don't want to do this, but here I am doing it. And I'll tell you, Ty, I've been in business 17 years, and I've never known what anxiety feels like. But like, this is the first time I feel like I know what anxiety is. And so it's been intense, but really I would say just, really wanting to to perform this first year better than the last 9 years. This is the 10th anniversary. And, I'm a competitor. And so I'm very competitive and I want to win. I want the industry to win. And so that's where I would say, Ty, selecting speakers has really been just a pretty difficult part of it, just trying to curate that experience.
Yeah, I would imagine too, to just make sure that that message that you're trying to articulate is the correct message by choosing the right speakers. But you touched on a bunch of things there, man, when you were talking about like anxiety. A lot of people don't like to talk about that because I think they think, if I mention to Vic or someone like, man, I'm experiencing anxiety, that it's a sign of weakness. But what it is, it's you pushing yourself outside your comfort zone. And like you said before, it's like you thought you knew what anxiety was, but now you've really pushed that limit, the limits of stepping outside your comfort zone. And that in itself is a great topic because Vic and I were just talking about that. It's like, we set challenges for ourselves on purpose to like push ourselves outside our comfort zone because no greatness happens inside the comfort zone, right? It only happens outside the comfort zone. If you want great shit to happen, big things to happen, like that happens outside the comfort zone. And I think that's the difference between, big things and things that aren't so big, or success or not being so successful, is being able to push yourself outside of the comfort zone. And then you also touched on, the past 9 years of this event, and that's some pretty big shoes to fill, because, the previous ownership, man, they were the trailblazer. I mean, Jana and I, my wife, Jana, our first roofing conference was a Win the Storm about 7 years ago. And we thought, man, God, this is great. Like this, like we're not alone anymore, and the message was great. And there were some other things going on there, but like what we went to absorb, we were able to absorb exactly what we needed to be able to take home. And like you were saying, for the past 9 years. So now you have some pretty big shoes to fill, which in itself, being a competitive person, I'm sure by nature, that in itself creates anxiety. And here you are, and it's got to be such a so real feeling of like, holy shit, and I guess some of my questions, and probably some of our viewers too, that are familiar with this whole situation, like what was your what? Like what made you want to do this? I know you touched on a couple of things earlier, but what was the what? And then let's talk about the why.
Yeah, totally. It's an important part of the industry. I've built all my connections face to face, belly to belly, and it's super important to have those experiences. And I'm new to social. Talking about comfort zone, like I'm really new to social as well. So all that, like I'm a real face to face kind of guy, personal. So that it's just been a lot. But the industry needs this place to where we can all come together. We can share ideas. We can collaborate. I think we're all in this together. I think contractors share a common vision that we want this industry to be better. And that's where, Win the Storm, it was definitely Anthony pioneered, and it got to a point where, it just went downhill, and a lot of people saw that and realized that it was very transactional. And, what I was looking for is to really just bring the industry back together, and this be the platform for the platforms. Like I want to bring a lot of eyeballs for people like you, and other leaders in the industry, that they can hear and connect with those people in person and build long-lasting relationships where you can really find people you can depend on. And that's, what Win the Storm is. It's a place to go to learn and to connect with others that are in the same battle as you, that are fighting the same types of problems and trying to solve. And you can lean on your brother, your sister, and learn more. And so that's, where I look at, what Win the Storm is about is just the community. I mean, really, and it sounds cliche, community, but it's so true. And I've got a lot of like really close friends that I met at Win the Storm. I wouldn't know them if it wasn't for that. And there's other events like that. But Win the Storm, we have people look at the storm industry as like we're the bad guys. Mm-hmm. Whereas like we rebuild America, we restore homes after a storm. The impact that a storm makes is significant on a community. And if it's not for people like us that will charge into that storm, America wouldn't be the same. And so I just see it as one of the highest callings is being a contractor, being a business leader. And so that's how I look at it, Ty.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. Again, a couple of things there, and I think what happens too. This is a perfect example of the roofing industry is changing. It's in a pivotal point right now, and it has been, I would say, for probably the past 3 to 5 years, right? Like where the persona that we used to have, like roofing, you're a roofer, and it's just a construction company kind of thing of the lack of professionalism and a lot of extra curricular activity going on, that probably shouldn't be going on and stuff like that. And but the industry right now, you got the Hunter Blues, you got the Josey Parks that are coming into the space, Adam Sands, Adam Bensman, like all of these people. And then the list goes on. The Mike Goldensteins from Roofle, the Travis Harvegas, the list goes on and on and on of and it's giving me goosebumps right now of these trailblazers that are forging and galvanizing like this new outlook of the roofing industry right now. That's like it is a trade. It is a trade that a lot of us are proud of and who have been here for a long time. There's a lot of us that have been here for a long time, and I think one of the things with Wind the Storm, it's like any business. It's like you got to adapt to the times, right? And I'm not taking anything away from Anthony. Burnout happens, fatigue sets in, whatever, many things happen to us business owners, especially continuously pushing ourselves outside the comfort zone. I was just telling Vic that before the podcast, like, when can I actually start to feel comfortable?
Never.
After a decade and a half, of putting myself in uncomfortable situations, when do I actually get to just feel comfortable? But burnout, fatigue, all those things start to set in, and I think we tend to take our eye off the ball and pivot. And where the roofing industry right now, with all the technology that's coming into the space, like roofing aerial measurement tools have been here for a minute, but are now just taking off. Roofle, Lead Scout, all of these apps and smart people are coming into our space. Well, shit, private equity's even in our space. Like, we've caught their attention now because this has become a billions of dollar industry right now. And it's like, we have to pivot. Like, even in my own roofing company here or the podcast, like there are times that we've pivoted, and I'm just going to use Behind ToolBelt as an example. When we first started out doing this was just to promote a local charitable event in our local community. We didn't know how to let people know that we built these gazebos. We're going to auction them off. There's a silent auction down at the local home and garden show, and somebody suggested doing a Facebook Live. So we were like, okay, because I don't really do anything small. It's either all or nothing or big or go home kind of attitude, right? And so we met this guy. He had a little home studio, went down there, and we were recording, actually going live, doing these Facebook Lives where you could host watch parties, man. And we were reaching like 5,000 to 10,000 people like in an hour. It was crazy. So that was about 6 weeks prior to that home show. During the home show, we went live the whole time. We were like, holy crap, like we're reaching more people outside of here than are actually attending the home show right now. So when the home show ended, we decided to continue doing the podcast, to kind of start plugging TC Backer and things like that. But it was like, it just, we were running out of content. So it was either we stopped doing what we were doing or we pivot. Well, then people from the industry started to notice us. I think it was David Tagger or Deshaun Bryant years ago. One of them asked us, and we're going back 3.5 years ago 4 years ago when we started this, they were like, hey man, we're digging your podcast. Do you care if we come on? And it was like, I didn't want to act too excited, but I was like, thank you, baby Jesus, because I was out of steam. Chris Baker and I mean, we could only talk about windows so much. We could only talk about roofing so much. But my point is, it's like, we knew we needed to pivot. Right. And it's like anything else, TC Backer, like if we want to stay relevant, okay, AI right now seems to be the biggest thing with websites, SEO generation, like all these things. And it's kind of like, okay, well, if I want to stay stuck in the old school thinking of mentality and not saying the old school billboards, yard signs, canvassing, knocking doors, all those things, that there, I don't think should ever leave a business. I think that in itself, the old school door to door is stick to the basics. You never got to go back to them kind of thing. But there's also other things that you can add to your arsenal. And by attending things like Wind the Storm and communicating with other contractors or seeing the new gadgets and technology that's out. This is like a perfect place. This is where Jana and I, like I said earlier, it like opened our eyes to like so many other things. Plus, that's where I met Eric O, Paul Reed, and all those guys from Roofers in Recovery. So not only am I at one of my most favorite places, and that's a roofing convention with other roofers, like-minded thinking people, but there's also recovery here. You know what I mean? So, and I know that those guys are attending this year's, and so it's I'm jacked. I got, like, the whole time I'm talking right now, I got goosebumps all over me because I'm excited to go and be able to participate. And I'm excited for you because I've seen how much work from back here. I've seen how much work you and your team are putting in with the amount of the talented speakers, the amount of the ethical businesses that you have on that expo floor. And then just the promotion that you've put into this thing, man. Like, I can't even imagine like what you're going through. But was there a moment where you thought like, this is never going to work? Like, I don't know if should I do this or shouldn't I do this?
No, there totally was. And, I wasn't going to do it because at first, when Mike kept asking me about it, he's like, dude, you're the one that can bring it back. I'm like, dude, I don't want that. Like, that has nothing to do with my strategy. I don't want it. But it just started to kind of linger there. And then, when you feel called, right, there's a desire that just starts to just burn up in you. And, I was like, okay, the industry needs better. I do think that I can bring it back together and like build it for the industry and like let the industry build the future. And that's really what I was going after. And, when I started going through due diligence, I was like, man, I can just build this way easier by if I was going to do this. And with my partner, Larry, I was like, we don't need Win the Storm. We can just start from scratch because there was a lot of baggage with it. Not many people want to put Win the Storm on their back and like that brand because it's very controversial. There's a lot of garbage and just past mistakes and, transactional issues that happened in the past. And so, yeah, I did. I decided like, man, I'm not going to do it because I had just bought, Total Home Roofing. I just bought a 9-figure roofing business that also had a ton of problems. So, it's like taking on another shipwreck company. It's like, man, I don't have time to do all that. But, I went to an event in Utah. I've shared this a couple times, and it's, it was a significant moment in my life. Andy Frisella is one of my mentors, somebody that I absolutely love. If y'all don't listen to the Real AF podcast, highly recommend it. But, I paid $10,000 for one night to just be in a room where Andy Frisella was at. And people don't value to be in the rooms enough. And like, I've always paid to be in rooms because that's where I can meet others that are going to elevate my thinking. And so I was talking to Andy about it, telling him, kind of sharing where I was at with it. And that I was going to buy this because I feel like this is a revolutionary year. And that's like the big driving, you talked about why earlier, like, dude, I believe contractors have to come together and we have to take back our country. And it's more important than ever before. We have to serve our communities. We have to be the change in our communities and be the leaders that we aspire to become. And, that I was talking to Andy about it all. And he's like, dude, I know you can make way more money working on the roofing business. He's like, I totally get it. And that was the case. It's like, dude, I'm just going to lose a ton of money. But he's like, thinking through this, he's like, years from now, you have money, more money's coming. He's like, but will you regret not doing this for the people? And immediately, I was like, whatever I have to do, I'm going to get this done. I'm going to build this. And I'm going to show that we can change the future. We can be the future. Like I'm a very, futuristic guy. And, that's really what it was, Ty. So like I was not going to do it, but it's just the regrets. And, I felt called to do it and I'm answering the call. And so many others in the industry are answering the call and they're seeing this as like, hey, we can change this. Like just because the past is there, it doesn't mean that's the future. And that's like the perfect story of Win the Storm, because this year is going to be completely different. And people are going to see the drastic change and how quickly we can change it. Perception of the event alone has already changed. So, I mean, that just shows right there when you put your mind to something and you get your tribe together, like you can do whatever you put your mind to.
Yeah, a lot of good stuff there, man. I love everything that you were just saying, and I mean, from the outside looking in right now, we can already see the change. And I use the word "we" intentionally because the amount of support that you're receiving right now from some of the biggest figureheads in the industry, you know, Dmitry Lipinski, Alan Mick. I mean, the list goes on again and again. And then to have Tim Grover speaking at this event. I mean, dude, it's been a minute since I think we've had an event that's had a huge heavy hitter plus the laundry list of other people ahead of him speaking, right? Because I'm imagining he's probably the headliner there. But I mean, everybody on your list, and it's just amazing. And one of the things that you had mentioned was going to be my next question is you know, basically like the why. You know, like, why did you want to do this? And you answered that question because after you had that meeting with Andy, it wasn't about the money. It was impact over profit. And I can dig that. I think a lot of other people can gel with that as well. You know what I mean? And because one of my questions I was going to ask you too is like how, you know, the expense that it's taken, you know, the financial expense that it's taking to host something like this, but not just hosting it, but to make sure it's being done right. You know what I mean? I can't even imagine the amount of finances, time, energy, resources, and staying on top of it and making sure that you're not cutting corners. Let's talk about that a little bit, like some of that anguish and time and energy and the amount of people that it's taking to host this thing to make sure it goes off with not necessarily without a hitch. I'm sure there's going to be something, but done the right way. So the message is articulated correctly.
Yeah, totally. You know, one of the reasons that I wasn't going to buy it at the end was because we didn't even have a venue. So it was supposed to be in Nashville. And we found out like late in the game, the down payment was never made. So we didn't actually have a spot to host Win the Storm. So trying to put together, you know, 3,000 plus person event within 4 months and finding that venue, it's like nothing was available. And, you know, that's where we found the Hilton Anatole, a 4-star hotel, very high end, like freaking part of the Berlin Wall is in this hotel, millions and millions of dollars of artifacts. I mean, the history in this hotel, this is one of the most wealthy families in Dallas that own this hotel. This was a passion project for them. They wanted to preserve history, tell the story of history at their hotel. And so that's where we're doing it. Whereas anyone would think that's absolutely psychotic to do it there. And it is. I'm telling you, I'm going to lose at least $500,000 doing the event this year, at least. And so, I mean, that's a lot. And I didn't think going in I would, but it is what it is. And so, you know, we want to perform though. And that's where like Tim Grover, I mean, he's like one of the top speakers in the world right now on everything, and getting him wasn't cheap. But if I'm going to do it, I'm going to do it right. Like, I'm not sitting here cutting corners. My food bill alone is $400,000. And so VIPs and elites are going to eat like kings. I'll tell you that. And, you know, so like everything that we're doing, it's going to be done right. It's going to be an experience like no other. And, you know, like, for instance, the theme this year is mental toughness. And so that's what we're bringing is like common themes that really can go throughout the event. You know, we're opening with James Lawrence. If you don't know James Lawrence, he did 100 Ironman in 100 days straight. So I would look at him compared to David Goggins. I would bet on James Lawrence because the level of intensity to do 100 Ironman in 100 days. And then when he finished, he was like, screw it, I'm going to do one more. He did 101. And so just to be like that psychotic with your mental toughness, I want to learn from him. And I have, and that's why I'm bringing him. LaShawn Bryant, he's a 3-time gold Olympian, you know, gold medalist, and he has like 14 or 15 other medals. Mental toughness. Then I've got Tim Grover, the final day close it. So every single day, the theme is mental toughness because we need to be mentally tough more than ever before. And so it costs a lot of money to get these people here. And so that's where it's like not going cheap because like if you're going to invest your time, you're going to bring your team. I want you to leave like that was the absolute best event I've ever been to. Like the level of professionalism, execution, schedule, like I'm really going to deliver. And, you know, I haven't been a social media guy. I don't care. I don't want to be a personality. I don't want to be known. That's not my goal. The reason so many people have gotten behind Win the Storm is because of my reputation, though. My last name. I try my very best to live by Proverbs, and my last name is, you know, very important to me. and money's not going to change, how I view things. And so that's where it's like going into this event and wanting to just deliver immense value for contractors to level up, to develop their thinking. That's really what it is. You're limited based on your thinking. The company's limited to the level of thinking of the leader. And so that's where it's at, Ty, is like, really delivering on an experience that transforms minds, transforms the heart, and like really get back to the heart of it and then the mind. And so that's how I'm looking at it, is, just bringing the industry together to see like, look, this is how fast you can have change in your life and in your company and in your community.
Mm-hmm. Love that, dude. You said so many great things there, Josey. You really did. And I don't know if you made this connection or not, or if maybe you didn't elaborate on it enough, but the correlation between where you're holding the venue and where they're trying to preserve history. You're hosting Wind the Storm. It's giving me goosebumps right now just thinking about this, but you trying to preserve not just Wind the Storm, but preserve the roofing industry. Like, this is like the rebirth of the roofing industry, that this is going to like give us all like that pivotal point where we what do they call it, reflect, like where we can just use this as a trampoline or a springboard for the roofing industry to kind of like skyrocket from here. And it's going to happen in Dallas. You know what I mean? Right there at the Hilton. What's the name of the
Hilton Anatole. Yep.
What is it? Anatole.
Hilton Anatole.
Okay, dude, I love that that whole correlation of those two, preserves, where they're trying to preserve, history and stuff there, and that you're going to host this there, and the mental toughness thing, right? That's such a huge thing. And like you were talking, earlier with we were talking about the anxiety of things, right? And to be able to grind through that and not let that paralyze us, and to hear it from studs like Tim Grover and Iron Cowboy and guys like that could have gave up, quit, not influenced or impact or aspired other great athletes to become great athletes like Mr. Grover has done. I mean, he coached the greatest probably athlete in the world that we've seen in our lifetime, Michael Jordan, Kobe Bryant, right? But Michael Jordan, MJ, I mean, he is definitely the GOAT. He's the GOAT, the greatest of all time. When it comes to basketball, and potentially even the greatest athlete in the world. Love him, hence why we got the colors that we have today. Is a big influence of MJ. I get to watch him fish once a year in Maryland, down in Maryland, there in Ocean City, Maryland. He comes in for the White Marlin Open every year, and has for I don't even know how long, for decades. He got the biggest boat in the harbor down there, and Mr. MJ on the back, in the back of the cockpit back there, smoking his big ass Churchill, stogies. But anyhow, you said a lot of good stuff, man. The leadership, the influence, the impact that you're aiming for, and that you're not cutting any corners, and it's not going to be cheap. And to be able to have that type of impact and energy and momentum that you have right now, I mean, that comes with great responsibility, right? There's the weight of the world is on your shoulders right now. Let's get into a little bit of personal stuff here a little bit. How are you dealing with that? Like, are you working out? Are you reading books? I mean, you mentioned that you got a mentor, Andy Frizella, but like, what else are you doing to handle that? And like you said earlier, I mean, without creating a leadership lid and limiting your thinking and getting bogged down, what are you doing to be able to articulate that message and keep your team moving in the right direction?
Well, I actually went through, Andy's 75 hard challenge. Have you ever heard of that?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So, a lot of people know about it. It's for 75 days straight. You got to, drink a gallon of water, 2 workouts, 1 outside, and, read 10 pages per day, take a selfie, follow a diet of some sort. And, that really was like a complete mind shift for me. That shifted my mind and really built the muscle of discipline. And because it's a muscle like you're building, because the more discipline you use, the more you build, but the less you use, the weaker you are, right? And I think they're trying to weaken us as society right now, and like that's why mental toughness is so important. But I've definitely leveraged a lot of my mental discipline, and from like what I was using at the gym. I was working out like 5-6 days a week. Now I'm at like 3 because there's not enough time. Because I have 9 companies, and I'm not the day-to-day operator in them all, but I've got a lot of projects going, and so I've been getting on average like 4 hours of sleep, and so I've been sacrificing, putting it all on the line, everything that I have, leaving nothing on the field, and just freaking beast mode as much as I possibly can to get through it. And just really going to my mentors and people for encouragement, collaborating on it, and asking the industry, what we can do, how can we do better. We interviewed a lot of people on the past experiences and what they would like to see different. So we took a lot of that feedback and built it into the event. But personally, I'm just following the same practices, just staying as disciplined as possible, working those freaking crazy late night hours and hitting the gym whenever I can. I love the sauna, getting in the sauna, and even if I don't have time to hit the gym, I'll just still hit the sauna and just punish myself is how I look at it, and just bring back as much energy. And I've been trying my very best because I bought Total Home Roofing in November, and I barely saw my family up to like mid-January because it was just so much. I missed a lot of really important moments in life, and I hate that I wasn't there. Like I didn't get to see my grandfather before he passed, and that was something really hard. I got a call. I thought I had more time. I had my big kickoff first sales meeting with the team, and I'm like, I can't miss that. But I missed seeing my grandfather. He passed, and I didn't get to go because I stayed for So there's just a lot of moments like that over the last 4 months that I've looked at, and it's like, man, dude, I've sacrificed a lot of moments in time for these companies. And I think we all do that as leaders. We all have to make sacrifices and choose like what's most important with our time. How do we leverage our time? And that's really the thing is like, buy back your time. So a book that I really love, I highly recommend, Buy Back Your Time, and really start to realize like how you have to delegate things and understanding how much your time is worth and the true value and impact you can make if you prioritize tasks and not get stuck in the day-to-day. And that, Larry Janeski, my partner, he has been my mentor since 2012. And, the dude has completely changed my life, and his trainings, a lot of it's personal development. And so I luckily can just call him and have conversations with him as well and get coaching. But it's important that we understand who we want to become, and we make decisions every single day as if we're who we want to be in the future, and we act on it today. And so that's where, I feel called for a movement. Like I've never been on social really. I'm not like, I don't want to be an influencer, but like I just sparked a movement. And like, I believe that the blue collar industry is the last beating heart of America, and that we have to step up and lead the future. And like you were talking about private equity coming in, that's coming in, and that's just more resources, more fuel for us to be the change. And so, personal life wise, like, I'm married, happily married with 4 boys, and man, just going home and wrestling my boys, putting them through some discipline, and just like them doing their nightly workouts and wrestle. We have a routine. Like we play tickle tag, which is basically tickling and wrestling and running around, doing their workouts, eating dinner, and putting them to bed. Like that is really what has been my sanity, is just getting to connect with what matters most, in my life, and that's my family. And same with all the other people, business leaders and whatnot, like our family, and like we're trying to provide a better future for them and that next generation. And I think it's our duty as I love your charity. This all started from charity. Mm-hmm. Like I love that. That's such an awesome thing. I've worn this since 2010, and it's Live Different. And it's called Heartwork.tv. It's about rescuing orphans and sex trafficked kids. And this all started from a business leader challenging one group of people. And through that business leader, we did 1,076 orphan projects in 1,000 days because people wanted to live different. One business leader caused that significant impact. And so that's where like this, I want to get contractors in the communities and serving their communities. And so, I mean, this is all about impact for me, dude. Like, I really hope that I'm using my brand to launch this, but I really hope that I don't have to be the face of this at all. That contractors step up and they're the face of it. That's why I created the board. So I've got, 18 people on the board, different leaders of the industry from, manufacturing, distribution, technologies, contractors, solar, roofing, and just brought them all together. So it's like, hey, these are the voices that should be the future. And it's not me, dude. I don't know it all whatsoever. I just want to have that platform for the industry to where we can lead the change.
Wow. Again, you said so many good things there, and answered a lot of my questions. I was going to ask you when you were talking about the 75 hard, what books were you reading during that time frame? But you talked about buying back your time. And I heard somebody say something a while back, and I'll probably butcher it up, but it resonated and made a lot of sense to me. Especially, the sacrifice that we make as entrepreneurs. I don't care what size your business is. And if it's at any level of success, I posted something the other day, success, comes before, or is it sacrifice comes before success. And even in the dictionary, I actually just literally posted that the other day because I don't think a lot of people understand, or maybe they do understand, but aren't willing to make that sacrifice, that time not spent with the kids at their football games. I can't tell you how many first days of schools I missed. I can't tell you how many basketball games, how many football games. Right, wrong, or indifferent, that's just what I did, especially early on. My first 5 years, my first 7 years, up until about 9.5, 10 years ago, right? I started to buy back my time. And how you can do that is actually hire people. Hire them for their time and dedicating and delegating, some of those tasks. I know for me early on, I was doing 15 tasks that turned into 12 full-time, 50-hour week jobs for 12 people to actually impact their lives. You know what I mean? And when I started to look at things like that, like this isn't really necessarily about us. You know what I mean? When you step into a leadership position, there's a lot of sacrifice into it. And not everybody is built to be able to put their own family, their own health and well-being and rest, on the back burner for other people. Right. And it's not even an ego driven thing. It's a passion. It's a spark. It's a flame that is in you that you want to have an impact. And that's like where your fulfillment comes from, is knowing that the impact and the inspiration that you're casting on individuals, especially at the level that you're at, I can't even imagine. And I think, with just our 100+ employees, that I'm making a big impact here. But you've taken it to a whole nother level, and we've talked about maybe hosting our own smaller events to be able to get that message out there and to be able to impact more people's lives. And it's not about the money, you know what I mean? And this is the thing: you got to have a significant other at home that understands what it is that you're doing, because without that can create a lot of chaos. And you talked about your wife and your 4 kids, right? Like it's almost like they're playing a huge part in this too. Like they have a role to play. That's to take care of the household and batten down the hatches and make sure everything at home is it's like a business. They're running the business at home, and you're running the actual business that keeps the lights turned on. You know what I mean? And I think of Jana all the time, and she's on here, but she's been a ride or die for me, which I'm sure your wife obviously has been, because if there's any kind of friction there, but I think what happens is, at least for me, I start to feel guilty, right? So I start identifying things. Plus she'll make snarty remarks to me. Like, when I'm there, I need to be present. Okay. Just because I came home early tonight, but I stayed, on the laptop or on my phone the whole time, that's not good enough. You know what I mean? I have to be present when I'm there. It doesn't have to be a whole lot of time, right? That doesn't mean I have to take a week's long vacation every other week to spend time with my family. That means if it's 5 minutes, an hour, 2 hours at the grocery store with them, being present, participating in what I would like to eat for the week that I am home, right? That's the quality time, and that's the thing to make sure that we are carving out enough time to create memories for our children. I intentionally just this year, I stay home a little later. I'm cut from the cloth where I felt like for many years that I needed to be the first one here and the last one to leave. Okay. Well, when you do that, you miss first days of school. You miss them getting on the school bus. You miss a lot of stuff, lot of after school activities and things like that when you live like that. Well, because of doing that, we've been able to set a standard where there's guys and gals that come into this office earlier than I did back then. And I am not getting up any earlier than I get up today to beat them here. But that's the standard now, and where I'm going with this is I'm thinking to myself, what are you going to do next year? Not to piss all over the win the storm now, but I'm thinking to myself, like, are you trying to find your replacement? I heard you got a board, which is great, because the other thing I was going to touch on is what's cool about the position that we're in today. We don't have to make all the decisions anymore. We've surrounded ourselves around a lot smarter people in probably a lot areas of my life that I'm just not so smart in, that can actually make decisions. Without me having to make all of those decisions. Like, there's a lot of things going on in the walls of this office building that I don't know that are going on. There are decisions being made on a daily basis that I have no idea what they are. And to be able to step away like that takes a lot of trust, right? Learning how to delegate and becoming callous to mistakes being made, and knowing because of those mistakes, they're gaining experience. The same experience that I had to go through over the years of managing, operating, owning several different companies over the years, that I've made the mistakes, I have to let them make them too. But I guess where I was going with it was, so what are you going to do to top this one? Are you already thinking, because you seem like the kind of guy, it's like, once this is over, you're like, good, on to the next, right? Are you that kind of guy? Like, okay, once you did, like, you don't even relish in the victory that when the storm went off without a hitch. You're probably like, on, done, next. Yeah, so totally. Are you forward thinking, like, what are you going to do next year?
Yeah, I wish I could spend more time just relishing in the victories, but it's like, that's not what we do. It's like, all right, did that was just part of it. So you just got to keep going. But I'm going to hit on it real quick. So, like, you were talking about all the things you missed. So my son, he's 10. He just turned 10, my oldest. Josey Parks the second. He doesn't remember me a lot when he was younger, and he talks about how I was always gone, and I was. And I had to learn that lesson. Like, I was barely ever home because I would leave before he got up, and I would get home after he went to bed. I would go like almost a full week without even seeing him. And like, there's so many of those sacrifices we make. And I tried to be very intentional. Larry taught me, make sure you're home for dinner. If there's anything you can do that. And certain parts of the journey in life, you can't do that because you have to sacrifice, and you have to get your family on board of like, look, guys, we're called for something great, and we have to put in the time. We all have to sacrifice. Yeah. So I would just say, like, get your family on board with whatever your vision is, and continuously talk about it and bring that up, because now my family knows, like, the last, 3-4 months that I was gone, like, my family, they were just so excited when I was home. I didn't hear them griping about me not being there when, my wife should be. But that's one thing I would say, is just get your family on board, because it is a big sacrifice. And delegate with confidence. Talking about delegation. Delegation is key. I bought my first company in 2011 and bought more after that. And like, I would just like totally just throw stuff on people because I didn't know, exactly how to do it. And, there's a time where when you hand something off, there's a specific way. And I'll encourage everyone to go check out Harvard Business Review, Delegate with Confidence. It's a great read, man. I use that as like my study guide. So those are a couple things I just wanted to add to that. But yeah, the future, man, we want to create more synergies with, vendor relations and contractors and experiences, and have more like regional events throughout the year. So, I mean, I have a big vision for where this can, since I had to get in, then I'm like, all right, if I'm going to do it, I'm going to do it right. I'm going to create what I wanted and what I would like. And so that's really like, I had a mentor of mine tell me, like, dude, if you build it for yourself and what you would want, people will love it. because like get their feedback, but like you have to be passionate about it if you're going to really execute at a high level. And so, the future, I think we're going to have a lot more regional events. We'll definitely still have our big yearly event. I did away with the award show because I thought it was total garbage. But I think that, the future, we're going to have a standard. So I really want Win the Storm to establish from the industry a standard we all agree. Like, this is the standard that we all aspire to be. And like, this is your top performers. So like companies, you can look at like, hey, what type of leaders do you develop in your company? And we have a standard that we can look at, and it can show like for recruiting talent, like, hey, from the industry's perspective, we develop people that are exceptionally better than average. And so if you can push that and you can show, it's one thing about like, hey, this guy's making 6 figures. Nowadays, 6 figures, you can barely feed your family. And so like, you got to really aspire for more. And especially if you're going to recruit a lot of talent, but the future, Ty, I really hope that I can, replace. I'm trying my very best to replace myself. And this business day to day, I'm not the best person to run this business. Like, I'm not going to be the person doing that. I just wanted to put the launch pad in place for the industry, and that's really the board. I'm hoping, we can really figure out that future. But I am a visionary. I mean, I've got some incredible technology companies, and I see the future, and it's very clear to me, and I'm trying to get business contractors to prepare their business for what's coming, because disruption is here. Like, people just don't even realize it. But if people don't change their ways and really start to adopt these new technologies and standardize their data and build real infrastructure processes, they will be disrupted. Technology advances strategy. I say it all the time. It advances your strategy. And, so many companies, they don't have a canvassing app. That's like, I know, lead scouts here. A canvassing app helps you hold your reps accountable. It helps you understand markets and conversion rates. And there's so much intelligence that you can put into your business and understand real accountability for your reps versus them just coming and wanting another draw. It's like, how many doors did you knock? And you can really see the data. Are they putting in the work, just having a rough patch, whatever that may be. But Ty, the future, man, we've got some really big plans, and, I'm really hoping that the industry rises up and we have all these different leaders like, Sam Taggart, April Hall, Dimitri, Randy Brothers. I asked one guy who said, only if I'm on the main stage. You can probably guess who that was. Dimitri happened to KO him. But anyways, like, I tried to bring every single industry like platform and leader to this event to bring them more eyeballs, to bring them more people to see what they're doing, because I think this industry, we need everybody. And that's what this platform is going to be. It's going to be a platform for the people and by the people. That's what it's going to be.
I love that. I love that. So you were talking earlier, are you insinuating, or are you planning on doing like Storm Venture Group, the training platform? Are you going to spin something off of Win the Storm, or do you in the near future of some kind of training that you're going to provide?
Yes. I bought both. I bought SVG and Win the Storm. So I bought both of those products. And, we've already created some new courses with that. Larry, my mentor, he has a contractor training program as well. And, that's what I went through. I went through a 3.5-year contractor course. It's, the best education you can get as a contractor. But I think we need better tools as contractors and better education. And so that's really something that, I'm excited about, that we'll be able to really build this futuristic training. And, we're going to be releasing the new name for SVG and who's going to be running, like how that's going to go. But we're going to bring like real high quality content from real pioneers. I got this from Dave Carlson. Pioneers and gurus. Pioneers are the ones that blaze the trail. Gurus are the ones that tell other people's story. Mm-hmm. You need them both. But there's way too many gurus out there that are just like, riding on the coattails of others. And, I really saw that as a big issue in the industry, is that you have these guys that have never actually done it, coaching everyone and telling them how to do it. It's like, dude, what? You don't actually know. So like, why are you giving all this advice? Why are you running all this? And then, like, I understand eyeballs and all of that, but I think people are starting to see through that. And I hope as an industry, we support more of the pioneers and less of the gurus, because I don't think that's helping our industry a lot when they're just like regurgitating other people's info. They're needed, but this is the time for pioneers to really rise up. And that's what we want to bring, eyeballs to pioneers. And so that's a future that we are creating. And, hopefully we can figure out how to get you in there as a pioneer leading the charge.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah, I definitely don't look at myself as a guru or a pioneer. It's, we, again, going back to the platform that, we use behind the ToolBelt here. It's just to kind of just bring more. So it's about you guys. It's not about how I look or the things I'm saying. My job is just to come up with the good questions for you to pour the questions or the answers out of you is my job. You know what I mean? And I think in any circumstance, whether you're speaking on stage or at a breakout or on a panel or hosting a huge event like this, I think the one thing that you need to learn right away, if you want to be successful and become a pioneer, it can't be about you. Yeah. Right. This has to be about everybody else around you. Right. The message that I want you to hear, or the people to hear, coming from you, and that's my job today. I'm okay not being the Ed Milet on main stage. I'm the Ed Milet on the podcast that asks about 5 to 8 questions to pull out the answer, the information from you. And when I started to really think about that and how important that is, and that's what I kind of get off on, the questions that I want to come up with and answer. It's kind of like a roadmap that I'm trying to draw, and I'm kind of nerding out on it. The more mature I get, with podcasting and speaking and things like that, and the more that I make it about everybody else and not myself, I think that the better I'm getting at it. When I was more concerned about how I looked, did I say too many ums, ands, ahs? When I put all and shelved all that crap, I don't care how many F-bombs I drop. I don't care how many ums, ands, and all this has nothing to do with me. I'll stutter the whole way through this. All you have to do is understand the question that I asked you and let it go from there. And then I just start coming up with some other questions to ask you. And I'm listening. I've learned to be a better listener. Really is what it comes down to, and not to talk about me, but that's what I've discovered over the years of doing this and being in a leadership role. It's none of this is about me. This is about everybody else, and how can we improve the quality of their lives while they're here under our management. You know what I mean? Like when they come in here, it's like, well, what do you want to do? Where do you want to go? Do you want to further your education? Do you want to be in a different position? You're not so strong over here, but we feel like you're stronger over there, and just, and that's just on the micro level. But the macro level is, this platform has given us the microphone or the megaphone to be able to articulate that message, your message, out to the world. And this is live, raw and uncut. And that's sketchy too, to do it 4 years solid every single Wednesday and not say something that just bankrupts me or that accidentally something didn't slip out. Takes big balls to do this, because 99% of these podcasts are recorded and then edited. But it's, what do we have to fear here? You can't incriminate me more than I've already incriminated myself over the years. I am my own worst critic. You know what I mean? And really, I just want everybody to hear your message. And that's why I was super excited about having you come on and you blazing that new frontier today, man, and galvanizing and solidifying and bringing together the roofing industry for one more great event. And this is going to be, I know it's going to be a great event. I know we're super excited about getting down there. I got a guy that I coach. He's coming in to help. He's bringing his team. They're all coming in. He has a roofing company out in Ohio. They're coming in. Bob Holt with Whole Roofing, he's coming in. A buddy of mine is coming in. I got Mike T and his wife from our Bluffton location. They're flying in on Tuesday to come in. So we're super excited to support you. And we're going to be going live like the entire time that we're there, letting everybody know how badass this event's going to be. But before we get off here, we're coming up on that hour mark here. Is there anything that you want a gold nugget, a golden goose egg that you just want to drop here and inspire somebody before we get off here quick?
Sure. I mean, I'll tell you, like, in the day and age that we're in, there's a lot of noise, and we are in a moment in time where the pendulum is swinging, and I feel like there is so much coming at us, and it's more important than ever before to control your environment and understand we're not perfect thought making machines. And with the people and technology that is trying to make us a slave, I think having the discipline and the fortitude to really control your thinking as much as possible. So thoughts lead to action, action leads to results. And so understanding that your environment really creates the thoughts that you have. And so putting better information in, you're going to produce better information, or you're going to produce better results in your life. And so I just think it's so important now more than ever to focus on your environment. I mean, it's cliche, whatever, but I mean, that's where I would say right now you're being attacked. Everybody is attacking you. You're on a battlefield, and it's up to you to have your tribe and the information that's going to benefit you and your greater self. That's what you need to focus in on. And so just control your time and control your environment. It's so important. And, I like the term actioneer. I'm visioneering and actioneering my future. And, we have to be an actioneer, and we have to lead that. And in closing, I'll say, this event, it's going to be unlike any other before. And the training that we're going to have on Thursday, Ty, I really hope you can make it. I'm not sure if you're planning on getting there Thursday at 1:30, but Larry is going to be doing a training that completely changed my life. I literally retired from selling metal roofing. I sold $6 million in just residential metal roofing in Texas. And I went to his training, and it changed my life. And so he's going to be doing a 3-hour in-depth training for the VIPs and elites. And I highly recommend and encourage you to be at that event, because I promise you, like the workbooks that we've created and the content, it will change your life. I mean, that alone is going to be worth it. And then, we've got a lot of other great things happening, but, however we can support. I mean, Ty, I don't know if you have time, but any feedback for me or any advice you have for me for this?
Oh, at this moment, any advice? Oh man, shoo-wee. I mean, you're crushing it. We talked, I don't know, a couple months ago, you had asked me about the workshops and stuff the day before. And because of something that was done previously. And I think, just touching on that just briefly, the way that you've changed things around. So it's not really, I guess, advice, but I'm more so encouragement. I feel like you're going in the right direction. I really don't have any advice at this moment other than, try to exercise, eat right, and get plenty of rest. But I know that's impossible right now. It's not how much rest, it's the quality of rest that you're going to get. Yeah. That's your bit of advice I'm going to give you. But more so to encourage you to keep pushing, keep fighting. You're fighting the good fight, right? You're doing all the right things. You got all the right people around you. You set up a board, and you just keep doing what you're doing, and you're going to keep getting what you're getting. You know what I mean? It's all good stuff because you're doing all good things right now. I mean, that can work both ways. Keep doing what you're doing. You'll keep getting what you're getting. But right now, your momentum, the forward flow that you have right now, and the group of men and women that you have around you right now, bro, you're killing it. You're absolutely crushing it. Yeah.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, man,
and
thank you.
Don't wait till next year. You need to be there this year and be a part of that, because there's going to be something so special about those that believe in the future and that are committed to it and that actually take the action to get there. I think it's going to transform minds and hearts, and your business is going to be different from going.
No doubt, man. No doubt. Well, Josey, thank you so much for coming on. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in here on your lunch break of episode 220 of Behind the Tool Belt. Don't forget to like, love, subscribe, review our YouTube page. Check us out on Apple, Google Play, and obviously Facebook. You guys have a great day, and we will see you next week for episode 221. We have Mike Claudio coming on. Thank you, guys.
See y'all.